Hello, I'm Raul Madera, and I'm your child's level one physics teacher. Here, I'm going to try and give you guys an authentic experience as to what it would look like for your kid, as at the same time introducing myself and kind of my philosophies with teaching. So first off, this is the Zoom screen. This is how your kids virtually would see me, and we toggle back and forth between virtual and in-person focus. So I'll try and do that now. So a main hub for your kids and this class is my Canvas site here. So on my homepage of my Canvas site here, there's a whole bunch of different resources, and I'll talk about how this can be useful to your kids. But to start off for today, if you click right here on my name, on day one for my class, I gave all my students kind of like a little intro about myself, and I'll kind of retell it to you guys so you guys can get a sense of who I am. So starting off, I'm originally from New York. I came over here in my undergrad, but I try and bring my New Yorker self with me everywhere I go. Specifically from New York, I was born in Washington Heights, raised a little bit outside of New York. So I try and carry my Dominican roots everywhere I go. I am fluent in Spanish, and I eat a lot of Dominican food when I'm at home in New York. My mom always likes to spoil me. What got me here in Massachusetts was my undergrad education. So I came here and I studied my undergrad at MIT, where I studied material science and engineering. And through my internship experience and my work experience, I ultimately decided that staying in that field wasn't for me, but I still have a love for science. I love thinking about science, talking about science. So teaching physics, and I actually also teach the engineering class, seemed to be more up my alley. But right now, I actually am furthering my studies, and I'm doing part-time studies at UMass Lowell, where I'm getting my master's in education. And your kids have me in level 1 physics, but they very well might have me in any sort of clubs or sports. I coach track and field, as well as I'm the advisor to multiple clubs here. So it's very likely your student that your child sees me in more than one capacity here at Westwood. Okay, enough about myself. So this year is definitely a weird year with the whole virtualness. So my class website becomes even that much more important. So my class site, which is Canvas, I don't use Google Classroom for a couple of reasons that are specific to this course, such as taking quizzes and other organizational things. But this site becomes super important. It's because where I have all my notes, all my resources, and it's where all the submissions for this class are going to be. This class, because of COVID and the way things are working right now, has become a essentially mostly online course. I'm not accepting any paper. So everything needs to be submitted on here. All the assignments are linked on here, as well as grades are posted on here. So if you're someone that's concerned about what your child keeping up with work, their grades, then you getting onto the site is going to be pivotal for you to kind of track how they're doing. There are ways in which I can add you onto the site, but I think the easiest way is if you just get your child's login information. That way you can see it exactly the way they see it. You can see all the due dates exactly as they see it, and use that to track any progress. But also, if things aren't going super well, or if you're not really sure about what's going on with your child, this year particularly, the door is open. Not physically, but through my email. So feel free to reach out to me. I know that this year is weird, and I've been very flexible as long as there's been an open discourse. So if things are hard, things back home I'm sure are hard this year. People are having all sorts of emotional strife with how things are going. Things are hard. So if you talk to me, I'm more than willing to be flexible. That conversation just needs to start somewhere. I would like it if it started from the student, but, things are hard. And if you as the parent want to, help and serve as like an activation energy to get things going, to set up a plan for a missing assignment, behind on homeworks, not ready for an exam, you can start the conversation with me via email and we'll get things going. So with this whole online format, what does it actually look like for your kids? So I figured I'd kind of show you guys a little bit of what it looks like for them so you can get a sense of how this all kind of plays out. So a lot of my notes that I take this year, I do so using an iPad, and I take my notes down using kind of this Apple Pencil, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here, you can see that there's two of me. But let's just go to, actually that's fine. So as you can see here, I drew all these notes using a pencil, an Apple Pencil, and I can, do any other notes. Like I'll give you guys an example right now. Let's say I wanted to do 1 + 2 = 3. So during class, I'd be talking to the people in person, and the people at home would be following along with this screen here. And I can do any sorts of notes. I can, write down any equations, and, smiley face, and they'll be able to follow along. So by being at home, you're not really getting, it's not like a budget experience. I try my best to give the people at home the full experience, and I'm addressing them, talking to them, and working with them through the entire experience here. So whether you're in person, whether you're at home, you are getting taught physics. Level 1 physics, I kind of didn't mention before, it's going to be at a high level. So it's important that even when kids are at home, that they don't consider it kind of like an off day, because at home, in person, the content's moving forward, the class is moving forward. So we have to take every day, whether it's in person or back home, seriously. And then one thing that probably a lot of people were wondering about is, what do labs look like? And in science, that's definitely going to be one of the harder things to deal with. So let me stop sharing here. And so looking at labs in this class, I'm going to take myself away for a little bit so you can see something else. So labs in this class are a little funky, but we're trying to make the best of it. So one thing that we've been using is this one thing called Pivot Interactives, which allows us to create video labs. Because of our space inside the classroom, we're not, we want to stay socially distant, as well as if we were to run a lab in person, the people at home would be getting, like I mentioned before, like a budget experience. So this allows us to kind of even the playing field. So for example, this lab right here, you can see that Pivot is something that allows us to use videos that are pre-made to kind of get our data here. As you can see, this is a lab meant to try and see how different objects rise and fall. So you can see here that we could take measurements down. I could take out a timer. We could time things. I could move the timer forward, and we can kind of get data and plot it into a data table like down here. So this year is all about flexibility. So me as a teacher, I'm trying to create authentic science experiences, but just on this online format. So you can expect, let me kind of bring myself back. So you can expect to, you can expect your child to get a full science experience, just looks slightly different. And that, I say that kind of subtly, but it ends up being kind of a big deal for some people. I think for some, this year will be fine. They'll learn a lot of physics. They'll be fine in this class. The online format is difficult for some, and I completely acknowledge that. So it's going to be important that if your child is struggling, like I mentioned before, that you communicate with me and we set up a plan, figure things out, so that they can make it through this year feeling like they were in control, that they were successful, and they took something away from this class. And that's all I really have. So if I didn't answer a question, or if you're unsure about something in physics, or if your child has a specific issue in this class, it's kind of like the theme of the video, talk to me, and we'll get something going. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you guys. I know this is not how we usually do this, but at least it was something. Bye.